Okay, so this is a game against Rakdos Madness. It's a pretty interesting game. So, lucky to be on the play, and I feel like I'm in a good spot when my start is that. They have a blazing root waller, so their start's not bad either. On the draw, I'd probably have got crushed, and they've got a very good start. Their turn 2 involves them attacking for 4, and I had played a blocker and they killed it, so they have a very good start. And then they're attacking for 5 despite me playing a removal spell on my turn, so they have an excellent start this game. Really good. And another blazing root waller. Wow, they've got a very good draw this game. So yeah, I think that's me in trouble. Possibly pumping blazing root. Oh, they didn't have any creatures for scrap each stranger, so that makes sense. Okay, so here I have a wave that's going to buy a lot of time. It doesn't really do that much. With me on 5 life, buying time is not much. And they get to fiery temper me as well. So this is looking really bad. This needs to top deck kind of time as well. They can't pump any blazing root wallers, so I don't have to exile all their blazing root wallers. But I do. And I allow my Watch of Tomorrow to trade, which is interesting. But luckily I draw Mastermind, and Mastermind is just in time to do everything I need. Skyclad Cleric's just in time to gain me some life. They've drawn a lot of blazing root wallers. I guess I'm lucky that I didn't draw slightly better cards when I'm on 4 life burn. Would be pretty scary. Because they had no cards in hand, I allowed myself to get hit for 1 there, because it allows me to gain an extra 2 life with Skyclad Cleric. And I get to bounce the Parallax Wave and go and Parallax Wave again. So here, they desperately need a removal spell for that Mastermind and don't have it, so they're in a lot of trouble. But they've got a lot of creatures and I've got very little life, so I've only just got enough here. Rakdos Headliner dying is nice for me. And I go for the kill the imp, exile everything else plan. Oh no, I take 1, so they didn't even pump. I wanted to make them pump the blazing root waller and they didn't even pump it, so I just took 1. So I don't think it mattered because I would have just had 1 less Watch for Tomorrow blink in that case, and that would have still been enough. But yeah, I was very close to dying, and now they don't really have any good attacks. It's not really going to do anything. They can only pump 1 of those, so I'll blink the Cleric on the one they pump, and I'll get to eat 1, and I don't even feel like taking a damage because why take damage? And yeah, bouncing upkeep again, gain more life, and at this point it doesn't matter what you do, you can't really lose when you've got all these Parallax Waves and Skyclad Clerics and more creatures than them. So they have a Kitchen Imp. Exile, yeah. Okay, so that game was very close at one point. Okay, so here's a game against Rakdos Madness. Mulligan the first hand is absolutely nothing. Second hand's a bit mana heavy, but fine. Just need to draw spells and it's pretty good. And wow, that's pretty solid there. think one of these turns my opponent misses an attack, but I think it doesn't end up mattering too much because they don't get me quite low enough. And that's why I say that's unlucky. It's weird that the chat isn't the right times in replays. Yeah, so them missing that attack means I should be on 3 less life. And if I was on 3 less life, wow, I'd be close here. So Baron getting to trade is nice. And I have a wave. And you'll notice here I have wave and relic water and intention sphere. So I could, and if I was on 6 life, I would definitely have to use this combo, but I could probably not use that combo. I could probably just evoke Muldrifter instead and have a lot more time on my clock. But I think I might as well use the combo. And the way it works is that if you have a way at instant speed of getting rid of your own wave, that you can exile their creatures permanently, and the parallax wave on relic water that has a detention sphere under it allows that detention sphere to remove the wave, and then the relic water comes back and removes the detention sphere, and it goes round and round in circles. So I can exile as many of their cards as I want in this cycle. I leave Rakdos Headliner because I'm interested to see what they discard. I'm not interested in taking damage from Risk Factor. And then they discard a card, and then I kill their Rakdos Headliner. This combo takes a lot of clicks, but it's game 1 and I'm on 19 minutes and 50 seconds left, so I'm not in a problem against Rakdos aggro. The game doesn't ever really go that long against them, so I'm not too worried about the time. And not only do you get to exile all their stuff, you also get to loop your own stuff. So that Muldrifter means, in theory, I could draw my deck. I don't need to draw a whole lot of extra cards, but I probably keep this loop going until I draw something that gains me life. And once I draw something that gains me life, in theory it's infinite life, so obviously my opponent might as well scoop at this point. They don't, but they scoop soon, because what's the point when I'm gaining 2 life per cycle and I've got an infinite number of those cycles? So yeah, eventually they'll scoop. Me cycling around the same 3 creatures, same triggers over and over again, wouldn't be that interesting to them. And they still keep fighting. Yeah. They could be doing something that I often do, which is just keep playing, because you lose nothing from not conceding, and you're using no clock and your opponent is. But clearly I'm not using that much of my clock. But if all 3 games went like this, that's 9 minutes on game 1. I couldn't have 3 9-minute games, I would run out of time. Okay, so here's a game where I'm playing against Affinity. I mulligan a terrible hand, keep a hand that doesn't look that spectacular, and my opponent seems to be going off. And then I draw a Signet. This is basically the best draw I can get game 1 against Affinity. Turn 3 Parallax Wave buys a lot of time. And turn 4 Nevermaker. You've only got 1 Signet in your deck, so turn 3 Parallax Wave isn't happening often. And it turns out, I think I play it as well as I can. Here I have to blink my Nevermaker to get it back again, and I don't have any good blocks, so I'm chump blocking Mishra's Factory. I did consider instead blocking and putting Tempered Steel on top of their library. That doesn't get me anywhere. I lose my Parallax Wave fairly soon. So I think I have to do the Nevermaker combo. and I'm taking a lot of damage. So go to my turn. Again, I've got no options. I play Parallax Wave and pass the turn back to them. And here, I don't think I have any options. I think I'm just dead. With a turn 3 Parallax Wave, turn 4 Nevermaker, and them not interacting with that combo, against aggro, you always win when you do that. But I've got nothing. They've got 6 creatures attacking, and I can block the biggest one with Nevermaker. I can exile 4 of them, going to 2, but what does that get me? I'm on 2. My Nevermaker's gone. I put Tempered Steel on top of their library, but who cares about that? And my Parallax Wave is gone, so they get back both their Ginger Brutes in upkeep. And I have no Day of Judgment to top deck, so I'm just dead at that point. I have no board, they have a board. All their stuff lethal, their top of their library is Tempered Steel, so they just play it again. So I assume I just gave up. I did it anyway. I exiled lots of stuff. I actually put their Tempered Steel on top of their library. Yeah, that's another way of surviving a turn. But I've got nothing. They play their Tempered Steel. They don't need to make Ginger Brute unblockable because I'm just dead. So, yeah, turn 3 Parallax Wave, turn 4 Nevermaker, and lose to aggro. That's probably the only time that's ever happened. Yeah, it's pretty solid by them. Okay, so here's some matches against Dragonstorm. This one's the final of the tournament against Brian Moss. And Dragonstorm's pretty tricky to beat. Maybe this time they won't have everything. So obviously keeping Skyclave Cleric black because I might want to play it as a land. Okay, Mastermind dies. Mastermind dies a lot, but when it doesn't die, it's great. Okay, so here, if they have everything, then I'm not winning, but maybe they won't have everything. So Parallax Wave does buy you a lot of time against Dragonstorm, but it doesn't necessarily do anything. But with Nevermaker, that's very hard for Dragonstorm to beat. Okay, so here I don't try and save my Parallax Wave Nevermaker combo because I have another Nevermaker and because Parallax Wave might be the only thing stopping Dragonstorm killing me. Yeah, them drawing a whole bunch of cards makes things hard. Explosion is really good. And ritualing out a big explosion like that gave them so many cards. I do have another Nevermaker Parallax Wave. So if they go for the Dragonstorm this turn, that doesn't necessarily do anything. They don't end a turn. I do the right combo with Parallax Wave this time. I exile Nevermaker, reducing the number of counters to 1. If they've killed Nevermaker in response, I just exile it again. And then I play a Parallax Wave with lots of counters, and I guess they respond with the Hellkites. No, another expansion explosion. Yep. And again, Nevermaker putting their Signet back really annoyed them, which was nice. If they hadn't had that Signet, then them killing my Nevermakers would have been a big problem for me. But then, if they don't have Cygnus, maybe they are a turn slower games when they need to not be a turn slower. Okay, so this time they've got the Hellkite. Okay, and I carefully don't exile my Watch for Tomorrow, because that would put Watch for Tomorrow under the wave, and then when it went away, Watch for Tomorrow would look at the top 4 cards, including wave, and I wouldn't draw a wave the next turn. So that's one of the things you have to be aware of, and it actually caught me unaware the first time I was playing Watcher that, oh, I lose my parallax wave, never make a combo if there's a Watcher and not a card draw thing under the wave. Okay, so here they're under a lot of pressure. I've got a parallax wave in play, and they don't have much going on. They need to combo off this turn, but I've got a wave to make that irrelevant, so they've really got very little. If they had more Hellkites, maybe they'd be in with a shot, but yeah, they play Dragonstorm and then give up. Interesting. If you're going to play Dragonstorm, you might as well see what happens. Okay, so this is a game against Dragonstorm. Game 2 against Dragonstorm. And I don't seem to have a lot going on. It's always good when they're cleansing Wildfire, get no value. And this is why I like having one rule of law, because my Moonblessed Cleric can tutor up the rule of law. Pretty solid. And here's where I make very much the wrong play, but it's very difficult when you have rule of law to play it as your first spell for the turn when you can play it as your second spell for the turn, because it's very nice to play it as your second spell. I didn't really think, oh, there's Power Sync to play around. If I thought about that, I might have done things differently. And then the very next turn, I don't play around the card they have again. I just get crushed by not playing around the right spells this game. If I play around Starstorm by cracking the clue, then at least Starstorm's not too bad for me. I don't think it matters, because I really didn't have anything that was stopping them killing me with Dragonstorm all game this game, once they countered my rule of law. But it turns out I had Niv-Mizzet covered. Yeah, getting to Detention Sphere and Niv-Mizzet is just crushing. So that's pretty good. But then they have the Dragonstorm and I'm dead. So yeah, nothing I'm going to do is going to beat a Dragonstorm. Once Rule of Law got counted, none of my other cards did anything. So that was a bit unfortunate. Okay, game 3 against Dragonstorm. Mulligan hand with no action at all. Put back a removal spell because I feel like I need the lands, but I could have gone the risky play of keeping all those lands. Just naturally draw Rule of Law, so I don't need to Moonblessed Cleric for it, which might be good. I'd go the risky plan of not playing Rule of Law straight away, instead tutoring up a Parallax Wave. Because it could work out well. could work out well to put more pressure on early, but obviously that doesn't really matter. I feel like things are going well when they're cleansing wild via their own land for no value. And have a parallax wave, that's pretty good. So yeah, it feels pretty good here. Unfortunately I can't play 2 spells, but them not being able to dragonstorm is probably worth it for me. So yeah, I feel like this is going pretty well. Possibly I should have played Mastermind first. Yeah, so if I played the Mastermind first, then their Starstorm wouldn't have been anywhere near as good. I would have had much more options against that Starstorm, so yeah, perhaps I played things in the wrong order. And then here they have Niv Mizzet and I've got nothing. So that's a bit unlucky to have nothing against the Niv Mizzet. And they get to answer my Mastermind with Niv Mizzet. Yeah. And all I'm doing is putting Niv Mizzet back on top, so they just draw it again. I play my land there because I only get 1 spell a turn, and it's hurting me because their spell's bigger than mine, and I've got no removal. So yeah, they're going to draw way more spells, way more cards than me. Possibly I should have played the Watcher that turn, because Arkham's Astrolabe wasn't doing anything anyway. Yeah. So yeah, things worked out the wrong way, that I had the answer for Niv Mizzet one game and I didn't have the answer for Niv Mizzet this game. Hallowed Moonlight getting to counter Dragonstorm and draw a card's nice, but they're drawing cards off that. Yeah, putting me to 11. And yeah, don't have much going on here. So I just have to hope that they don't have a Dragonstorm or a Begarden Hellkite here. Because they've got all that mana, they can just cast either. And they don't have anything here. But they're playing Cantripping Rampant Growth. So I don't have much going on here. I play Relic Water. And for fun they play Begarden Hellkite with the trigger on the stack. And if I could play another spell, obviously I'd be fine. I cancel the Judgment, but if I could play another spell they wouldn't flash it in my main phase. So I maybe should have disrespected them enough to see if their Begarden Hellkite killed the Relic Water. I probably should have, because maybe they were thinking kill the Relic Water would be fun with the ability on the stack, whereas obviously if they deal 5 to me then I'm dead. So yeah, maybe I should have seen if they did that, but they're good, they can count to 10, so I assume they would have seen the correct line. Okay, so this is game 1 against Zombies of a great match. So I keep a hand with land and spells, and I get a lot of things discarded. Having Relic Waters is good when they'd be terrible anyway and you get them all discarded. Watch for Tomorrow, putting a land in hand is good. That Wrench Mine would have been terrible, but then they have another Wrench Mine, so they get all my cards anyway. And now they finally make some threats. Now perhaps it doesn't work out holding the champion, because basically champion sees all these lands and stuff, so it doesn't really matter. I keep Skyclave Cleric because it's versatile, but I think I play as his land and it wouldn't have mattered anyway. So here you have to weigh between buying time by exiling and keeping a parallax wave longer. I'd go a bit of a split. I keep some of my life by parallax waving some creatures, and I think I get it pretty much right. So I have a second wave, but I've still got 2 counters on that wave, so obviously I don't need to use the second wave. Now there, I exile a creature perhaps a little aggressively. I could probably have not exiled that, because but it would have worked out much for muchness. I probably would have had to exile it anyway, because they just had too much pressure on me. So I think I made roughly the right decisions there. I'm just taking a few damage each time, but I'm just not hitting a lot of gas. Azorius Signet was so bad. An untapped land would have been excellent. Most creatures would have been excellent. And that Signet was not excellent. And Nevermaker taunts me by being just a turn later than when I needed it. And yeah, here finally I get excellent blocks, but it doesn't matter because there goes the parallax wave, and so now they've got just too much stuff. I can play 2 Nevermakers and have 4 blockers for 6 attackers, be well and truly dead. I can evoke 2 Nevermakers, have them with playing 1 Lord and another Lord on the top of their library next turn, because they both go on the top of their library. 4 attackers for 2 blockers, all 3 power still lethal, so I'm not even close. So it'll be on to game 2. Okay, so this is game 2 against zombies. I keep a hand with lands and spells, and against the him deck I will pretty much always keep a hand with lands and spells. Possibly I should have played a tap land and had the option of playing a mastermind. That's much of a muchness. That Skyclave Cleric does stop a lot of damage though. Works out well. So I do get to play a parallax wave. Parallax wave buying me a lot of time. This game I just need to draw slightly better than the last game. And I draw a Nevermaker. Now I'm on a lot of life, so I don't care about being dealt damage. I want to play around sorcery speed removal. So I'm doing that well here. Get rid of the Death Baron forever. Draw Parallax Wave again. Now here, I probably played wrong. I probably should just have exiled all 4 creatures at the end of turn. Okay, they have no good attacks. Instead I blink my own creature, gain some life, only exile 2 of theirs, play around instant speed removal. It's just bad. And yeah, I don't have any good reason for that. one of the things I could have done was exile 3 creatures, leave them with a digraph ghoul that I don't care about, and then with Nevermaker's gone, flicker the Skyclave Cleric. That would have been better. And then I wouldn't have had to exile their 1 digraph ghoul. I could have just left it and been attacking for 2 with Nevermaker. So yeah, that wasn't a good play. But it all seems to not matter. It seems like I'll easily crush them, because at the time I thought there was nothing they can do to get out of this lock other than have instant speed removal. So all I need to do is make sure instant speed removal is bad, and then they have Call to the Grave, which is actually a way to get out of the lock. I have multiple ways to play against Call to the Grave. So I could do what I did, put their creature on top of their library, get rid of all 3 of mine, and lose Parallax Wave. If I don't draw well, I'm losing Parallax Wave no matter what. But I probably could have just left it, seen if I'd checked if I drew anything, kept Parallax Wave around. Drawing Baron would have actually been pretty solid, because I would have got to draw a card this turn with Baron, using Parallax Wave, draw another card with Baron the following turn eventually, and yeah, I think that would have been a better play. But it didn't work out too badly. I don't think I made the best play. So there was a wait and see approach. There was also the exile their Undead Augur strategy, and wait and see, and might end up putting an Astrolabe back on top of my library at some point, which wouldn't have been very good for me. I was surprised that turn they didn't trade with the Baron, and they have an answer to Nevermaker. So I'm just sitting around doing nothing here. And it all works out all right for me, though I get to Day of Judgment, but them having that Undead Augur really hurts. So if I got rid of that Undead Augur, then that Day of Judgment might have been hit by that duress. Who knows? And then luckily I draw well. Watch for Tomorrow gets the next Watch for Tomorrow, which is all it really needs to get, because it turns out, you know, I draw some land, so it's not all good. They him the land. I think when you got well and truly enough lands, keeping lands in hand can be good, because I've got Champion of Wits in my deck. Yeah, they end up with nothing. Okay, game 3. Have to mulligan the first hand because I only have 1 land. Second hand at least has a few lands. Drew another one. And they're not making me discard, which is nice. Okay, so no hurry to get out of Skyclave Cleric in this situation when you've already got Day of Judgment. And to make Day of Judgment good, you might as well exile the thing that makes draws them lots of cards. And here I play Nevermaker, getting really greedy, want value off Day of Judgment. And my opponent plays a Lord, probably plays the wrong Lord. I really hate those Undead Augurs. Really like exiling them without them getting value. I end up exiling the other one anyway, so it doesn't really matter which I exiled with the first removal spell. And here I'm a bit nervous because they get a lot of zombies with that Dark Salvation. So their mana flooding, they can't blame that when they get to Dark Salvation for the massive 4-for-1. And here I'm basically dead to removal, and I'm just lucky they didn't draw removal. And they didn't him anything that was that good. I get to move Blessed Cleric for a wave and play Nevermaker. Things work out just fine. I think I was dead to removal again, but then once they don't have removal, they're very dead. Now, there, I had the chance to play Parallax Wave and have them locked out. But I can potentially find myself a bit locked out as well. So I play Champion of Wits. I know that they can't just have 2 removal spells, because Nevermaker would put their only attacker back on top of their library. So I'm pretty happy with playing Champion of Wits. I think it's pretty safe, unless they exactly him my wave. So yeah, I was fine with that. I figure having those extra cards helps, and they've got nothing now. So I've got Parallax Wave, I've got Baron, and I even put Nevermaker on top, because again, what are they going to draw? They're going to draw the exact same card again. I've got Wave in play. So it doesn't play well around exactly the Black Enchantment removal spell card, but you can't play around everything. Assuming they've already got such and such in their hand isn't really something that I think is right. I double blocked for no particular reason, but I could easily have not blocked there at all. I bounced my own Nevermaker here with Baron, because that's fun. So I put another blank on top of their library, and yeah, they've got really nothing here, and I have Wave plus Nevermaker. Probably played them in the wrong order, but yeah, it doesn't matter what I'm doing at this point. They well and truly can't get back into it.